Welcome! This video is to demonstrate the installation for the 2600 series wood stacking door. Begin by inspecting the rough opening carefully to ensure it has been properly prepared to accept the configuration and size you are installing. Then check the floor to see that it is flat and level. If the floor varies more than 1/16 of an inch per foot or a total of 1/4 inch over the entire width of the opening, it must be corrected before proceeding. If the floor is concrete, a waterproofing membrane must separate the aluminum from the concrete. If it is a wood substrate, it must be protected with appropriate flashing or waterproofing material prior to door frame installation. It is important to note that the sill pan will direct incidental water that may run over the threshold towards the exterior of the door, and will also provide a barrier between dissimilar materials to avoid electrolysis. Start by unpacking your frame kit. Each should have a head assembly, a threshold assembly, and 2 jamb assemblies. Next, determine the top inside of the threshold by referring to your drawings and remove sill protector strips. Position the threshold on the floor in the approximate location and make sure the inside edge of the threshold is properly aligned with the structure. Inspect the threshold assembly where it meets the floor. Check for and mark any gaps that will need to be filled or shimmed prior to final anchoring. The final installation must result in the threshold being level and supported continuously for proper operation. If the floor condition is wood, it must be protected with appropriate flashing or waterproofing material prior to installation. Mark installation holes and then remove sill. The next step is to drill 1/4 inch installation holes at each marked location, approximately 2 inches deep, and insert a supplied green plastic anchor plug. If the floor is wood with flashing or waterproofing, apply a generous amount of the appropriate sealant at each mark where the installation screws will penetrate the flashing. In this video, we'll assemble the frame on the floor prior to installing in the opening. Start by laying out the frame parts, with the interior sides facing upwards. Seal the pre-drilled holes in the threshold and head end plates. Then assemble the head and jambs to the sill using number 12 3/4 inch pan head screws. Attach the interior wood trim to the header and jambs. Now we're ready to install the frame. Apply a 1/2 inch bead of sealant on the floor along the exterior side of the mark, from jamb to jamb, and from the inside corners across the end to the outside edge of where the threshold assembly will be. Also add sealant 6 inches up the inside of the jamb. Inspect the sealant carefully to ensure a complete water barrier has been accomplished across the full width of the opening. Using the marks on the floor, set the threshold assembly back in place, shim as required, and proceed with anchoring. Use number 10 2.5 inch flathead screws in the weather-stripped channels. Using a level, shim the lock jambs as required to ensure that they will plumb and anchor to the structure through the additional holes using number 10 2.5 inch flathead screws. Complete the jamb assembly by placing the jamb filler into the jamb using plastic block and non-marring mallet and tap it into place. Complete the anchoring of the head assembly to ensure that it is flat, level, and parallel with the threshold. Begin by locating and removing the black foam blocks from the head channels. The blocks are approximately 1 inch by 1 inch by 2 inches and are located in each intermediate panel channel. Set them aside temporarily, as they will be reinstalled when the panel installation is complete. Each panel will have a sticker identifying it as the lead panel, intermediate panel, or fixed panel. Please note the door kit will include 1 intermediate panel with a 3-panel door system or 2 intermediate panels with a 4-panel door system. Locate the lead panel. From the exterior with the bottom rail vinyl to the outside, lean the top of the panel in and insert it into the extreme interior head track and lower it onto the threshold. Next, remove weight off roller and insert a medium-sized Phillips screwdriver through the middle hole at the bottom of each stile and adjust the rollers to achieve a dimension of approximately 3/8 inch from the bottom of the stile to the top surface of the threshold. Roll the panel towards the lock jamb to view the vertical gap between the panel and jamb. Make final roller adjustments so the gap is consistent from top to bottom. Locate the intermediate panel that is to be installed directly next to the lead panel. From the exterior, with a portion of the panel overlapping the interlocker of the lead panel, insert the top into the next head track and lower onto the threshold. Repeat the same process with the remaining intermediate panels and make sure to adjust the rollers on the active panels so they roll freely. Locate the fixed panel and install last. From the exterior, lean top of the fixed panel in and insert into exterior head track and lower it onto the threshold. Make sure the panel covers the L-clip that has been attached to the sill. Then, push the fixed panel into the jamb to seat. Attach the security screw to the existing bracket mounted to the threshold using a number 8 1/2-inch Tech screw through the pre-drilled installation hole located on the interior of the bottom panel sill plate. To install the exterior L-clip plate, place on top interlock style plate and mark hole to pre-drill. After a hole has been drilled, use a number 10 2.5-inch flathead screw through the head with the L-clip resting against the fixed interlock style. From there, make the final adjustments to the panel rollers to achieve the optimum alignment throughout the door system. Now tap the wood plugs into the adjustment hole. Nail the flat wood trim to the interlock of the operable panels. Let's move on to the hardware. First, adjust the strike plate on the lock jamb by loosening the 2 machine screws and moving it up or down until the lock engages fully when actuated. Once the strike plate is adjusted, anchor it to the structure using a number 10 2.5-inch flathead screw through the countersunk center hole provided. To remove excess slack, open the sliding panel and adjust the lock using the slotted adjusting screw in the center of the lock. From the exterior, with the door in the fully closed position, reinstall the black foam blocks into the head channels against the small rubber bumper above the panel. If your door has premium hardware, install it at this point. First, adjust the strike plate on the lock jamb by loosening the 2 machine screws and moving it up or down until the lock engages fully when actuated. Once the strike plate is adjusted, anchor it to the jamb using a number 10 2.5-inch flathead screw through the countersunk center hole provided. To remove excessive slack, open the sliding panel and adjust the lock using the screw in the center of the lock. Please refer to your hardware instructions about installing the bump stop. Finally, seal the bottom of the fixed panel to the threshold on the exterior side. Seal the interior side of the threshold to the floor from jamb to jamb. Continue the sealant up the jamb leg for at least 2 inches. Seal the exterior of the door frame at the head and jambs. Do not seal the exterior of the threshold. The weep slots on the exterior must remain open. Finally, use a rubber mallet on a plastic block to tap jamb fillers into place. Congratulations! You've now installed the 2600 series multi-slide door.